In this lesson, we'll add on just a few materials to the coastline here. Probably just blend so it has a little bit of a shine to it. We'll do this fairly quickly. We may want to do some renaming. As you can see with some imported models, we get a lot of excess work on the name here. And it tends to make the transform node and all the other nodes fairly long, as you can see as I stretch this out. So I'm going to rename this. I'll just select everything and delete, and call this Coastline Sculpture. And trim it down a little bit. And I can do the same here on the side. I'll do a triple click to catch all the pieces, and we'll call this Coastline Sculpture Side, or we could just combine it with the other piece. Okay, so for the side, we'll add on probably a Lambert. So it's got kind of a rough, almost like a beach rock or tide pool sort of appearance here. And I'm going to take in the color that same kind of warm gray I had done and go just a little bit deeper with it. And call this Rock Dark. And then I'll select the top here as well as the waterway and assign a new material. And this one I'll make a little bit shinier as a blend, and I will call this Rock Light. And I'll grab that same color. So we start to get some consistency here in the color, and I'll just make it a little bit lighter on the slider. As always with the blend, I want to take down reflectivity, take down roll-off so it's not as shiny, pull up eccentricity so the highlight's a little more spread, get it all kind of ready. And we can see here again we need to do some renaming, so I will call this Coastline Waterway. Okay, and we have materials on our coastline pieces. Now we need to also look at the kinetic sculpture here. Pull outside of the wall. And what I've done here on import is I've converted these objects to polygons by choosing Modify, Convert, NURBS to Polygons, as they were NURBS objects with a large amount of geometry. And so I converted them to polys and did some optimization, and then also combined them into one object. These are, as we can see, double-sided here. Right? We've got basically thin shells for the as a kinetic sculpture. And I'm going to assign more of a metal to this. And I'll right-click and assign a new material. And for this one, I'll use a blend and make it maybe a little more towards copper or something like that, some kind of hammered metal. I'll choose in the color, the main color, the diffuse color, a copper. Make it nice and deep. And then name this, of course. And for a metal, we want to take the diffuse level down. I'll put mine at 0.4. So more of the contribution of the color comes from the reflection. And I'll leave the reflectivity probably in the 0.3 range, and then bring down the roll-off so the shine isn't as high. And to make it have more of a metal feel, I'll click on the specular color, and instead of gray, I'll borrow my copper color, but go brighter. So it kind of shines in the same color, and maybe a little higher roll-off, a little tighter of a highlight there, so it behaves more like a metal. And I'm going to assign one of my dark materials to the struts underneath. As you can see as well, I have unified these as one object. And I'm going to just make sure the name is a little cleaner, so we'll call this Struts, and we'll call this piece and I'll call it Kinetic Sculpture, maybe Kinetic Waterway. Okay. And so here's the struts, and for these I will assign an existing material. I'm just going to use the light rocks, they kind of disappear a little bit. Okay, we are ready for the rock wall as the next step, and also a canopy and benches over the other section, and finally the import of the sculpture.